Hello, welcome back to the channel. So today's video is all about winterization, getting your motorhome, caravan, van conversion ready for the winter. This is probably one of the most important things that you need to do, just to make sure it's safe and secure if you're not going to be using it. Obviously if you're going to be using it, it doesn't matter. The most important things are, and I'm going to do the videos on it as we go, getting the water out, airing it, things like that. I always give the motorhome a good wash before we put it away for the winter. This just makes sure you've got all the road salt off and stuff like that. I use a wash and wax system and I use a hose. I never use the jet wash on it because I don't want to damage any of the seals. I just think this is good practice. Firstly, you need to drain your freshwater tank. This is the blue tap. Obviously your grey tap is for your wastewater, this is for your freshwater. Our motorhome, we're lucky we can unclip the tap and hold it down so it's below the level of the tank so it gets everything out. This is the tap to drain down the hot water system, the boiler. You lift the little yellow tap up and it drains out. This is very important if you're leaving your vehicle over the winter. If your boiler freezes and it cracks the boiler, you're talking a couple of grand to replace it. The other thing that I advise is to open all your cupboards. So you can let air circulate around the motorhome, caravan, van conversion, whatever it is. By opening all the cupboards, it lets air get in there, so that way, hopefully, you'll have less risk of mould or damp. We always leave them open, let the air circulate. Also remove any perishable foods. Tinned foods are okay, but everything else remove. We have the Thetford fridge. So on a Thetford fridge you have these little locks underneath the catches. These lock into the frame so the doors can't shut. So this leaves a little air gap. And because of the little air gap, then you won't get mould in your fridge, so it won't be smelly when you go back to it after the winter. If they lock in place, so the doors are jammed open by an inch or so, just to let air circulate. Once all the cupboards are open, we also move the cushions away from the edge. This helps with stopping mould. This is the water draining out the boiler. It does take a little while, but we leave the tap open once it's all drained down as well. Then the next thing is you need to open all your taps. Turn them from hot to cold with them open. This way, if there's any water in it, gravity will force it back down the pipe. This is the kitchen tap. We also have to do the shower, making sure it drains all the way out, and also in the bathroom. Also, just remember, if you've got a flush type toilet, to make sure the water is out the flush as well. Leave the taps open. The other thing that I think is really good practice is if you can, if it's a motorhome or a van conversion, once a month, once every whatever, couple of weeks, go to the vehicle if it's in storage, start it up, get it warm. If you can, take it for a little run just to make sure everything's warm, but getting some heat into the vehicle. You know, if you can't drive it, put the heating on, leave the heating on for half an hour or so, an hour, just to get everything warm, get some air circulation. This will help you in the long run. If you move the cushions away from the edge, this stops the possibility of build-up of damp in your cushions. Lift your mattress up, things like that, just so that air can circulate. The more air that circulates, the less chance you've got of causing irreparable damage. If you're in the situation like we are and you can have it plugged in, that's brilliant because it keeps the batteries topped up. A lot of people will say disconnect the batteries. Now, you can disconnect the leisure battery if you're not going to be using it. That will protect it. But vehicle batteries, and this is where you have to be careful. Our vehicle has a tracker. It had to be fitted for the insurance company. Now, we can't disconnect the battery, because if we disconnect the battery, yes, there is an internal battery inside the tracker, but it won't last that long. And it will also alert the tracker company that the battery voltage has disappeared. So they'll get a false alert. But this is why this is important to check. If our tracker isn't working, our insurance is null and void, because part of our insurance is you have to have the tracker. Yes, ours has got the alarm on it, ours has got a lot of other safety features which I'm not going to publicise all over the internet. It's what I do, so I understand them. So just be aware when these people say, yeah, disconnect the vehicle battery, that's all very well, but if it turns the tracker off, your insurance might turn around and say you're not insured if it gets stolen. So this is why I'd say once a month, go in there, start it up, getting it warm. I would say it's one of the biggest things that I get asked about is, oh, if I leave my vehicle for a week, 2 weeks, the battery goes flat. If you've got a tracker on it, it will drain the battery very, very slightly. There is nothing you can do about that. The tracker has to use power to work. It will eventually drain the battery out. We used to find before we were in a situation where we could have it plugged in, 3.5 weeks of it not being touched, the battery would start getting low. Yes, we got a solar panel. It was fine when it was stored outside. Our motorhome is now stored inside, but we have the advantage we've got it plugged into the mains all the time. I've changed my chargers on my vehicle battery to trickle chargers, so it just keeps the battery and it reconditions the battery as well. So what my battery charger does is it actually drains the battery down to 80% and then charges it back up again, and that going up and down all the time improves the longevity of the battery. We are in that excellent situation where we can do that. I know a lot of people aren't. I hope you find this video informative, and if you do, please give us a thumbs up and drop us a subscribe. That would be really handy. We are trying to grow this account. If you've got any questions, whether it be technical or whether it be you're going to France for the first time and you want to know what it's like, or Spain, or you're going to Europe, or whatever, please, please, please drop it in the comments. My attitude is, and I've always said this in a lot of my other videos on other social media, there is no such thing as a stupid question. What you think is stupid, or you think other people are going to judge you, no. There are certain things that you're too scared to ask. I had situations when we first started about, you know, the very, very first time we went over 10 years ago, I didn't know what food you were allowed to take. Were you allowed to take all your food? I remember years and years and years ago going on a plane, and we'd taken bacon and sausages in a cool bag in the suitcase so I could have a breakfast when I got there, because I didn't know, I'd never been abroad before. Got to the airport, they checked the case and went, you're not allowed to take this. I didn't know that at the time. Yes, things have changed in Europe now. Coming back with food is an issue. You're not allowed to bring meat products back. But I'll get into that in another video. And as I always sign all my videos off, I'll see you all in the next one. Ta-ra!